Welcome to the Unlist. Today I want to talk about contradictions and critical thinking concerning the consumption of fragrance-related media, to be specific. This is a bit of an extension of the Tough Love video where I discussed how people don't tend to use critical thinking when engaging each other, and instead they come at things with a solipsistic mindset where their perception is everyone else's reality, or they go at it with a tautological mindset of I consume X thing, therefore this thing is the entirety of my being. I like X and this defines me as a person. So I'll let you go Google tautology and learn all about that yourself. I'm not giving you a philosophy lesson here, but just want you to be aware that these are concepts that are well known. Okay, so applying the same mentality towards consuming online, social media, or other forms of fragrance content, you should have the same critical mindset. You should not rush into it with a weird sort of cult of personality induced loyalty where you take whatever they say on faith because they're charismatic, or good looking or funny or whatever, or because they share your tastes in fragrance, so you automatically trust them. Yeah, I mean, it could be a good thing if someone likes what you like. You're a little more inclined to extend benefit of the doubt, but you should still be critical of what they say, especially because unlike when you're arguing with somebody one-on-one, you're on an even playing field. But when you're consuming content from a content creator, whether it's someone writing a blog, whether it's someone doing a YouTube video, whether it's someone on Instagram, you are the audience. You do not exist on equal terms with them. Okay? It is like going to a show. It is like going to a play, seeing a band play live. They may actually interact with you individually during the course of the act, but you're not on equal terms. You're not building a one-on-one relationship with that person. You are there to consume what they're putting out, and any direct contact with them is a result of delivering that content. That is what parasocial means. It's like following your favorite celebrities. It's like following your favorite musicians and interacting with whatever they put out. Parasocial, okay? So now, for that reason, you have to be especially critical of the content they produce. This is not a slight to anybody. Okay, I'm not going to name anybody, but there are a lot of people, because they are professional content creators and they make all their money off of the content they make, or through other things like sponsorships, sponsored links where they get a commission if you buy something, or they sell their own line of products. They have their own fragrance range or their own merchandise of some kind, or they offer classes or services, other things. But their existence in the fragrance community is a means for them. That's what they pay the bills off of. So a lot of them will lean very heavily into the marketing tools. And a lot of those marketing tools, especially today, are powered by AI. They're algorithmic generation. It's computers scraping marketing data, sales data, reviews off of websites like Amazon or whatnot, and then just combining them all together in this big gobbledygook mess and saying, this is what you need to do. You can even do it right here on YouTube. When you open up your Studio app, you download the YouTube Studio app, and you can click on your algorithmic stuff, and then you can click on research, and research will automatically generate topics for you to make videos about. It'll say you should make a video about this, you should make a video about that. And a lot of these terms don't make sense because it's an algorithm mathematically smashing together sometimes two entirely unrelated concepts, because they would go well together to get hits, to get people clicking. Okay? And some of these influencers or would-be influencers go so hard on those tools that they come out with these nightmarish eldritch horror video titles that make no sense. And once they become popular, because hype is always manufactured, remember that hype is never a natural thing, it's manufactured. Someone has to decide they want to create interest in a thing. So they push really hard to get as many people into it as possible, and then it becomes organic after it catches fire. But someone has to strike the match first before it catches fire. So hype is always manufactured. So someone, when they make a concept based on the data they've collected, and it creates a really weird, paradoxical, or nonsensical concept, but then hype is generated successfully around that concept, suddenly that weird, disparate, paradoxical, oxymoron concept gets canonized by the popularity surrounding it. And suddenly everyone uses these terms that don't make sense. And everyone adopts these terms that don't make sense. And suddenly you are bombarded with content from all the popular creators based on this nonsensical concept that to any rational, critically thinking person doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Okay? So what I'm asking you to do is not necessarily go after the content creator and try to hold them accountable. I mean, you can do that if you want to. You'll probably get canceled by all their fans white knighting for them, and then your Instagram will get spam reported and shut down, or your YouTube will get striked 3 times in a row, and then you get annihilated by all these crazy, frothed up, rabid dogs chasing your tail. So gotta rescue senpai from the critic. Gotta save fearless leader from the critic. So I'm not telling you to put yourself in danger like that. That's stupid. But at very least, you can walk away throwing some salt over your shoulder. Or maybe if you are unhappy enough with them continuously delivering content that doesn't really seem to make sense, you just unfollow them. Just unsubscribe to them. Because clearly, they don't really have your best interests at heart. They care more about the hits and the monetization than they do the quality of the content they're delivering. And they're just a spam factory at that point, pumping out the same regurgitated processed meat over and over and over again. You're just like this, eating it up. Because the little hamster on the treadmill there, the wheel is still turning, but the hamster is not live anymore. It's just a corpse of a hamster spinning on a wheel. So let's not go there. Let's not be that person, okay? So critical thinking is a must. Now we've gotten that far. Let's name some examples, okay? Starting with the 8-minute mark for those of you who want chapters. I don't really do chapters, but I've started to make notes of when I switch concepts or whatever. So at the 8-minute mark, I will start talking about examples of contradictions, red flags, things that don't make sense that a critical thinker should automatically make note of. Whether you want to call it out, again, is up to you, or just walk away. So here's the first one. For me, one of the biggest red flags, one of the biggest contradictions, is it involves the abuse of the term niche. Most of these involve the abuse of the term niche. And niche in and of itself just means of limited appeal, okay? It means limited appeal. So a jazz, death, tech metal band is of niche appeal. A historically based horror movie, like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, very niche appeal, okay? A Katsudon mashed-up cheeseburger, which does exist here in Washington, by the way. They're called Katsu Burger. Katsu Burger is a very niche burger joint. Okay, that's niche. So people a lot of times will like to say things like niche quality. And that doesn't make sense to me. That's a bit of a contradiction, because you're saying it's the quality of limited appeal, but that's not what they mean. What they mean is a bit of a semantic mental gymnastics routine where they're implying that niche is better quality than more mainstream fragrances. Better quality materials, better quality design. Oftentimes, because the price point's higher, they're trying to say it's better. So this is a niche quality fragrance, or here's a list of niche quality fragrances. And I'm like, no, that doesn't really make sense. And then they'll always name stuff like things that smell like Aventus, things that smell like BR540, things that smell like Leighton or something. And I'm like, first of all, those aren't even niche anymore. They're luxury brands, yeah, because they're really expensive. And they're typically available in high-end stores. But even like my best friend back in Baltimore, who doesn't really research fragrances at all, he's not a frag head. or anything. He's not a frag guru. He's just a guy that likes cologne sometimes. And even he knows what Parfum de Marly is, because he approached me saying, hey, this Parfum de Marly Carlisle smells really good, but it's too expensive. Do you know a cheap version of it? And, you know, I'm like, well, yeah, so that brand's no longer niche. Creed hasn't been niche for a very long time. So anyone that insinuates niche quality and then name drops a bunch of like high-end luxury fragrances that really aren't niche, you need to like question that. Definitely need to question that. And they do it repeatedly. Then it gets a little worse when you put affordable next to that. Affordable niche quality. Another red flag. Actually, bigger red flag. Okay, comes right up. All right. So, first of all, again, the mental gymnastics that's being undertaken here. Affordable niche quality. So you've already destroyed the definition of niche by trying to associate it with status and wealth and whatnot, price point. And then you're also trying to insinuate that you get what you pay for when all these bottles, whether they're $200 a bottle or $400 a bottle, have like $2 of materials in them and the rest is all profit, and you're trying to argue that it's niche quality? No, you can't do that. The same amount of oil a lot of times are in those expensive bottles that are in the Bath & Body Works ones, or the ones that Dior puts out. Dior uses the same quality materials a lot of times in their $120 fragrance that you're going to spend in that $400 one. Besides maybe a concentration difference or whatever. It's the same ISO-E super and everything else. So it's not really higher quality. So when you go affordable, that's telling me you're really either kidding yourself, you're just really deluded, or you're a snake and you're trying to get someone to buy something that you've been sponsored to sell. Just dirty, 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 dirty. Affordable, niche quality. And then it's always all these clone houses. They name a bunch of Alexandria stuff, name a bunch of Armaf, a bunch of Al Haramain stuff, Rehab, whatever, Rasasi, okay. They go down that line, and I'm like, no. Affordable, accessible, niche quality, clones. Those are clones, bro. Those are clones. And then they hold the bottle, look like total jackasses, and they're like this. And I'm like, no. It's not affordable niche quality. Clone. It's a clone. You're trying to sell clones. Call the video clones. But you can't call it clones because clones sounds ugly. It sounds unattractive. Oh, don't call them clones. Clones. Okay? I'm not ashamed of it. I've got several Armaf fragrances. I know they're clones. Hell, they know they're clones. Okay? That's why they don't do much to hide the name. Milsim Imperial is Milestone. Oh, I can't tell what that is. Silver Mountain Water is Sillage. Oh, I have no clue. Look, it's a silver bottle too. Oh, I have no idea what this is. The only one that's a little bit kind of mercury is Baccarat Rouge 540 is Unbound. I mean, there's a B in there, so maybe that's what it is. But, you know, my point is affordable, accessible, cheap, niche quality. Clones. You're selling clones. Don't kid yourself. Don't jerk me around. Red flag. And then we can do the same thing with mass appeal niche. Most mass appeal niche fragrances. And then once again, they name a bunch of luxury houses. They name Leighton, they name Creed, Aventus, they name the BR540 from the MFK. They name all of these really well-known, really well-liked fragrances, okay? Every once in a while, you get a house that does release a very successful mass-appealing fragrance, but the rest of the offerings from the brand are still really weird. So the brand hasn't crossed the line yet. Creed clearly makes nothing but mass-appeal fragrances now. They have been pumping out nothing but mass-appeal fragrances since the 2000s. Ever since Milsim Imperial and stuff blew up really big, it's been nothing but mass-appeal stuff since then. They got rid of all the gray caps, you know. MFK got rid of all of their weird stuff too. Lumiere Noir's gone, Apom's gone. The Absolutes are gone. All their stuff is now white musks and linden blossom and gummy ambers. It's all mass appeal, okay? These aren't niche brands anymore. I don't know if Parfum de Marly could ever have been called niche. I don't think any of their stuff has ever been really all that challenging or weird or different. It's always been higher, elevated takes on designer fragrances, so they never were niche, really. They've always been more luxury. Raja Dove, same thing. It's all Guerlain takes, it's all old Chanel takes, which you can argue some of that's kind of niche because people don't really wear those fragrances anymore, so Danger and stuff like that are kind of on the niche side by virtue of being older styles that aren't super popular. But again, more luxury than niche. Bond Number 9, same thing. A lot of Bond Number 9s are in the same wheelhouse as popular designers, so they're not niche. They're just expensive, exclusive, whatever you want to call them, but don't call them niche. They're not niche. So when you see the mass appeal niche videos, it's another red flag. Another red flag, because I'm like, okay. Unless you name drop something like Santal 33 by Le Labo, I mean, that's a weird one. That's a fluke, because that fragrance does not smell mass appealing at all. You know, it's harsh, it's woody. Some folks detect pickle notes in it, yet it's really popular amongst a lot of people. It's become a bit of a status virtue signal, which is probably why it's popular. It's popular more because of what the person wearing it, you know, it's to represent their status than it is actually be an enjoyable smell. And the rest of the Labo stuff is also really weird. Another 13 is weird. Thé Noir is weird. Oud 27, Labdanum 18, all weird stuff. So they are still niche in my opinion. But Santal 33 could be a mass appealing niche fragrance because it still smells weird, still smells niche, but a lot of people seem to like it. But other than that, and maybe a few other examples, yeah, whenever I see the mass appeal niche video throw up the thumbnails, and again, the guy's going like at the bottle, I'm just like, get out of here, you fucking clown, jackass. You're not kidding me nothing. So, now another one is cheapies. We played the same game in reverse. Another red flag, a contradiction. Best cheapies. So, and then the thing is, the cheapies are always just designers on sale. They're not really cheap fragrances. You go to any department store, any retailer, anywhere that sells at full price. You go to Lucky Scent or whatever that sells it at full price, and they're not cheap. But because FragranceNet or whatever, or perfume.com or Perfume Buy or Fragrance Buy, whatever it's called, they've got it 50 off or 70 off or whatever. So it's 35, 40 bucks. It's a cheapie. And then I just see the same Luna Rossa flankers, the same Azzaro Wanted flankers, the same Cool Water flankers, all these other designers that retail for 100 bucks like anywhere, but they're cheapies now. And Duc de Vervins has been like on sale forever. I don't think anybody's ever paid full price for a bottle of that unless they're stupid and go right to Houbigant or something. But my point is, they're not really cheapies because they're not made to be cheap and they're not made to be sold for cheap, but they just end up in these gray market areas a lot. You know, one could argue back in the 2000s and 2010s when a lot of Creed got dumped, a lot of 4-ounce, discontinued 4-ounce bottles of Creed got dumped into the gray market. They were all selling for 100 bucks. I got my Green Irish Tweed for 100 bucks. Got my Millesime for 100 bucks. All my Royal Mayfair, all that for 100 bucks. Were those cheapies? They still retailed for $350, $400. I just got them for a low price because I got them when they axed them all. Are those cheapies? Not really. No, they're not. So again, whenever you see cheapies, now real cheapies, brands that make fragrances to be accessible, to be inexpensive. So Bath and Body Works, you know, The Body Shop, obviously, Yves Rocher, anything Coty branded, anything in a drugstore. Okay, all the Eden Classic stuff, Avon and Oriflame and all the mail order brands. That's all. Those are actual cheapies. Okay, but you throw up the cheapies video and you do this with your face, and it gets stuck. It's like someone goes, And it's stuck now. I can't. What am I going to do with my face like this? You know, it's not really cheapies. Really not cheapies. So that's going to just about wrap it up. There are a bunch of other more minor red flags that, I mean, I could also name. Just like the people who say things like, masculine smelling unisex fragrances. Okay. Women's fragrances that could work on a guy. Okay, under whose taste are we putting that? That's not an objective statement, sir. That's a very subjective statement. You know, same sort of thing. Or another one, it's fragrances that punch above their weight. Okay, who's getting punched by what? What do you mean by they punch above their weight? You know? I mean, high performance, low cost fragrances. Oh, so they're cheap and they're loud. Okay, so you're talking about Bogart fragrances, right? Right? No, you're not? Okay. Again, guys, the language gets so diced up and all these contradictions arise, and you're just, like I said, it's like you're just taking it in, you're not thinking. And God forbid you actually buy something that you spend a lot of money on because someone hypes you up on it, and then you get it home and you spray it and you're like, oh, this smells terrible. But it was supposed to be a high performance, low cost, mainstream, mass appeal, affordable, accessible, niche quality fragrance that smells like a modern vintage, that smells like a natural artificial, smells like all these things mixed together. And then you buy the fragrance and it's like some oud wood thing with a drop of linalool in it or whatever, and you're sad because you spent $400 on it. And the paper label is peeling off one corner. And some jackass with a YouTube channel was like in the thumbnail, and you clicked on it and you bought it. So critical thinking, you gotta have it. This has been the Unlist. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.